The days leading up to camp, there was a lot of discussion about running back contracts, and there was a report out there that you organized like a Zoom meeting. One, did you organize a Zoom meeting, and two, like who was on it, and did anything significant come of it that you felt?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some obvious things going on with the running backs as far as our contracts and the franchise tags of our last three guys, and so really wanted to get our top guys together just to discuss situations, how we're feeling. Get our president and our new executive director involved too, just to start creating some of that unity and making sure that, if there are steps that we can take, that we're putting those on the table and at least discussing those. And so it's out there who was on the call. It was our top guys in the league, and I thought it was important, and it's going to be even more important going forward just to continue to come together and talk about these issues. These aren't things that just change overnight. It's things that you have to have discussions about, see what people are willing to do, and all different situations are different. People want to hold out, or maybe they don't. You got to have those discussions. You don't know. That's why we get together and see kind of what's going through their mind, and we'll have more of those. Just to continue to educate and to continue to make sure that we can put ourselves in a position, as a collective, not just running backs, but as the entire union, to go forward and protect ourselves as players.
Is anything you can do in the shorter term future?
Yeah, there's a ton of that we can do, and one is controlling the narrative and starting to put out this narrative that's kind of combating against what's been out there so far in a lot of different scenes where there's a lot of media trying to justify why the running backs aren't getting paid, and they're using these general numbers of, well, this is what the running game efficiency does according to the passing game efficiency, but it goes deeper than that, because we're not just numbers on a page, we're actual players, and we all have different impacts on each team. So it's very situational as far as what specific player can have as far as impact on each team. So that means their value isn't tied to a general rule of statistics that you see. You could put statistics in one way or another to say that someone's worth something or someone's not. And so one of those things that we can do right now in the short term is continue to put the narrative out of why we are important. If you look at Saquon Barkley, for instance, if you go into that organization and ask how crucial is Saquon Barkley to the success of this offense, it's going to be pretty significant. And just what that guy kind of player can add. Same with Josh Jacobs and what he did last year. Tony Pollard, he's coming up. And so those guys, and when you have that success and then you get put into a situation where, these narratives are putting you down as far as, well, can you keep doing it? And we're the only position right now that seems to be getting punished for our production. It frustrates us. And so that's where we can have to go out there and put out the narrative like, hey, we are actually important to these offenses. Go ask these offenses, go ask ourselves, and we'll start talking about it in the media, so we can start combating this narrative. So that's what we can do in the short term.
Jim Irsay put out a tweet that this is all part, what your contracts are is all part of the collective bargaining agreement. Do you have any response to it?
Yeah, he's not wrong. The franchise tag is in the CBA, but the reason the CBA is what it is because we have fought and clawed and tried to continue to pull rights for ourselves as players. You can go back to where there's no even free agency, and we're now, when there was two-a-days, and now we have all these protections for ourselves. Like, us as players have to come together and say, hey, we have to stand up for ourselves, because if we don't, we're going to get drugged through the dirt and we're going to get controlled. So, okay, we have to protect ourselves. And how do we do that? Well, we have to come together. And when we have things that come up like this, is when we have to make sure we come together so we can protect ourselves.
What are the challenges, though, of this applying to one specific position? Like, as a union, you guys are every position.
Yeah.
But this is only affecting one position. So then how do you convince the rest of the union that, hey, you guys should help out the running backs without losing those other positions?
So you're going to have to, as individuals, as running backs, we got to continue to bring our narrative together to just help each other out. But when it comes to a full collective, you have to see, okay, is there something that's in this that actually could affect everybody across the board? And it is the franchise tag. If we attack that is something that every single position has ran into. And, we've seen it with the safeties, we've seen it with the tight ends, it could happen to any position group. We're just the ones that's playing out through right now. And so it comes down to, hey, we're a union, so we have to put, all the things that we would want to see change in the future on the table. Is this something worth fighting for? Is it not? It's not for me to decide. It's us for a collective to get together. And CBAs do run, every 10 years, and so there is some time that you build this collective, you build this narrative, and then every year at meetings, this is what things we're talking about.
With the new offensive coordinator, how do you see things? Well, first of all, what's your connection with him? How do you see things playing out for you?
Yeah, I see it playing out as an amazing opportunity for not only myself but for this team. Obviously Kellen Moore has had a lot of success, and he's attempting to bring that to us with our chemistry of who we have. We have some great players. I just talked to him after the practice today, and I was like, man, I'm really looking excited. Like, we're making plays, like we're flying around, guys are having fun, guys are healthy right now, and so like there's just energy feel. Justin's balling out these first couple days, got his big contract, so it's like, man, like we're going in the right direction. I feel so good about where we're going, and Kellen coming in and just meshing it all together. We'll see. Time tells. Coaches don't get really judged in the preseason; they get judged during the season, as we all do. A little different because you still got to make the team and stuff like that if you're a rookie, and you're still trying to establish yourself. But we'll see how it plays out, and I'm looking forward to that.
As far as your contract, you just put all that behind you. I mean, can you separate the business aspect from the on-the-field aspect?
Yeah, when it comes time to football, we got to focus on football. There's a time and place for all of that, and like I was saying earlier, like it's situational. You have some guys that might try to combat it in a different way. For me, I was trying to get as much value as I possibly could, and was looking to have some more years with the Chargers. And obviously, went through the trade to try to find value somewhere else when they kind of shut the door on that, and then came back to the table. It's like, hey, like, can we do something? Can we do something? Because I'm adding a lot of value to the team, and they didn't have to do what they did. So I am very appreciative, of this organization for saying, look, we're not going to do what you want to do, but here's at least something. And so it's a start, and for me, that's what I'm appreciative of, and I'm out here now. It's time for football. Now it's time, for focusing on the bigger picture as far as contract, which is these franchise guys. That's kind of where my effort is as far as the contract talk. I signed a 4-year deal, so I'm locked in. Love being here. Want to be here longer. But my time for that free agency hasn't come yet, so I'm not in that situation yet.
Just following up on something you said earlier about the sort of the narrative surrounding running backs. It feels like that narrative exists because of the decision makers in front offices.
Yeah.
Ultimately, those are the guys that you're going to have to convince to pay you, right? So how do you build from changing the narrative to convincing GMs, owners, and decision makers that, hey, you guys have to?
And so that's where a lot more collaboration comes in. And it's going to take more than just a narrative change, because if they're the ones who have started the narrative, why have they started in the first place? They're looking at something that is showing them, oh, okay, we don't need to do this to this group or with these people, and so that'll take some more off-season planning. I don't have an answer for that now, and that's going to take our entire union, like I said, putting on the table, is this something that we would actually want to attack or not? For what reasons? It's more strategic than that. But I do know, we have guys that are frustrated, and in the past, that's when a lot of changes happened. It's when we have a collective of guys frustrated, especially if that can apply to other people in our union.
So one area where you benefited in your rookie deal was the player performance pool in terms of snaps, playing time, and that money. Would you like to kind of see that repurposed, where for running backs there is maybe a little extra in terms of production? Because it seems like in future contracts, running back is the one position where you get impacted more on your future than what you did in the past, maybe compared to quarterback or other.
Yeah, I think we just did that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, our pool was either like $3 or $5 million, and now it's like $8 million for player performance. So those player performance bonuses are already going to be going up significantly. And there's like some ratio as far as how many play count you have. But I think it's different. I don't think it's comes down to bonuses or anything like that. I think it's more of the principle of not allowing players to have an open chance to go and find value in the market, and then tagging them on a 1-year deal, giving all the risk to the player on a 1-year deal. The organization now gets to say, okay, let's see what happens this year. If Saquon Barkley runs for 3,000 yards, all right, we're gonna franchise him again, and it's just like, it's at a principle, you're not allowing these guys to actually go out and find value for themselves, right? It seems like a very one-sided option that's in the CBA, and it's not something that's going to change overnight, but that's just how I see it, where it's not necessarily like, oh, we need to give running backs bonuses and things like that. We just need to change, I think, the way that we're able to be controlled when it comes to the end of our contracts.
Yesterday, Justin said with the contract, he feels more free and the ability to go out there and play more fearless. When you hear your quarterback say something like that, what does that mean to you?
It's great. This guy, I thought he was playing fearless before. He's going out there slinging it around, having success. But if he feels that way, then that's great. Feeling is very subjective to the person, that is feeling those things. I don't know what you're feeling right now, if you're nervous or you're excited, and us as football players, a lot of times we have to mask our emotions. And so if he's saying that's going to, take some weight off his shoulders because he's got some more dollars in the bank account, even better. Go ahead.
Can you imagine, given your history with Justin, like what more fearless looks like?
I'm excited. I mean, I've been seeing a little glimpse of it out here. I don't know if you guys watched practice today, but balls are flying all over the place and getting caught. And so I'm like, yeah, let's go. That's what I told Kellen. I was like, man, I don't know about you, but we're looking good, man. So I'm excited for it.